So my daughter comes home with what can only be described as obviously an absolute preschool masterpiece. She had doodled a beautiful something and then cut it into a million little pieces. And she proudly told me that she had made a puzzle, which I thought, oh, that's super cool. I love puzzling. So, you know, I wanted to solve it, of course. She did have to ask me a few times because life. And finally, I thought, you know what? She put in the effort. Let's do this puzzle. But it wasn't a normal puzzle, you guys. There was no box, right? There was no reference image, no real obvious clean edges or anything like that. She had just used these really thick, kind of like chalky, they're crayons, but they kind of work like a marker. It's this very odd hybrid of art supplies. And she had pressed really hard in some spots. It was super dark. And then other spots, it just sort of faded away. And
came to the surface that was not true because their energy started to go down, voices
it wasn't always making sense as I was trying to put this together. But the wild part was that she knew exactly how it went together. Which I mean, she should, right? She was the artist, she was the creator. But I'm telling you, so many pieces. And it wasn't like a picture of a rainbow or a sunshine or anything like that. It was just abstract art. Okay? So that's why it was really baffling. And so as I'm working through this puzzle, I realized that puzzles have
in my hair anymore.
Stages, because it's like the stages of grief, and I was walking myself through them as I was trying to complete this puzzle and thinking, oh my gosh, I've had this exact same process occur in my life before. So what are the stages, you ask? I'm going to tell you. Stage one is the I've got this phase. Like, obviously, it's a preschool puzzle, right? So you sit down, you're feeling confident, you think it's going to be fun because puzzles are supposed to be like a great recreational activity. You might even relax a little bit, maybe have a little cup of tea while you do it. And of course, always, anytime I am puzzling, I channel Winston Bishop from New Girl, which if you haven't watched every single episode of New Girl, you must. In my mind, it is like the modern day version of Friends.
Underneath the machine.
And Friends is by far the best show on the planet. If you want to fight about that,
look for a silver lining here, which I often try to do.
So anyway, there's joy here. This is like optimistic, a little bit delusional with the confidence, but you believe this is going to go well. This is going to be a fun activity. And then you really kind of get a little more strategic. Stage two is where you implement the edge strategy. That's obviously where you start. You get to work, you find the corners, then you do all the edges, because you figure if you build the frame, then all the other stuff in the middle, the messy middle, will just kind of fall into place. But at least you have the structure, right? And I think this is how we approach life, too. We build the routine.
So I walk in
we create the plan. We try to control the structure of our lives. And then
I don't know why I do this to them.
Okay, here, I've organized it. I've got a great outline.
Good morning.
This is going to be just fine.
And then does it to me
stage three hits,
and I hate
which
it.
is the inevitable
here I am,
slowdown.
Passing along the
you
trauma
finished the
down
edges,
to the next generation.
And now you just have
sunlight,
the rest
loud
of it.
noises.
Yeah.
I do it in one room.
At that point, there's no obvious
snatches,
really. It's not, you're not getting the quick wins you were getting before. There's just those really
wander out,
subtle differences,
woodland creatures,
similar colors, and then there's those really pain in the ass pieces that look like they're going to fit, but
well
they don't.
For these morning routines.
And this is where it stops being fun.
Their weekly
and it starts being work.
On the back of their bedroom door, what they're going to wear. And
once you're not having fun anymore, you hit stage 4.
So they can get themselves
and you
dressed.
start questioning
breakfast,
things. And you ask yourself over and over, do I even have all the pieces
to avoid
which
any debate?
I'm going to say in this particular scenario was an even more valid question than any other time I've done a puzzle, because
with these
this preschool puzzle had been cut up during the day at
always
class
successfully
and then had
to
commuted
get my
home.
own self
and
ready
so who knew,
and
really?
my contacts
Really.
and brush
Like I
my
said,
own
there
damn
was no
teeth
box. I didn't know if it was a 25-piece
So
puzzle
on this
or a
particular
30-piece
day,
puzzle. I just
heard
collected what was
the
in the
sound,
cubby,
one of the
put it in the
sounds. There are several.
backpack,
One of the sounds
and found
that
out later
no
that I
parent
had to
wants hear.
reassemble.
I am
So
in
I was
my bedroom
very
trying
sincerely
to get
questioning,
myself
like,
ready, and I
something
hear my
must be
son
missing.
head
I've looked
to the
at
bathroom,
everything
and I'm thinking,
a million
great.
times. Nothing
Going to the
of what I have
bathroom
left is
on
fitting.
the
There's
list.
no way.
But what I
there's
was
just
not
no way that they're all
so
here.
pleased
And
to hear was a
I
very
think
specific
in this
sound,
particular moment,
and that sound was pee
most
hitting the trash can
people
lid.
don't recognize it
Ever
for
heard that
for what
sound?
it is.
If you've
Because
only
it's-
heard it once,
it's not
you
about
will
the
know it
puzzle
forever.
anymore.
And I entered the
It's
bathroom
about what we do
very
when the options that we
energy.
have available to
He,
us,
it turns out, was
don't
distracted
seem
because
to
he
match
was
our
trying to use
current
the bathroom and
needs. Yeah. So
check
then,
out this
though,
new toy
right when
that
you're
they
about
have
to
gotten. Perhaps you've
call
heard of
it
it.
quits,
A
throw in the
labubu.
towel, you hit stage 5, which is the
That's
breakthrough.
a whole other topic.
And out of nowhere,
when I saw
one
how it was
piece
distracting
fits
him,
another.
I grabbed it.
It's
I did
clean.
not freeze.
All of a
I
sudden,
often freeze.
it's
I did not
so
in this situation. I grabbed
obvious,
it and
and
I
that
threw it,
shifts
friends.
everything
I threw it
because you start
back
to remember.
into my bedroom,
Ah.
which in hindsight,
Right. It's just a puzzle. I can
most
handle
definitely
this.
escalated the
It is a preschool
situation
puzzle.
because
You've got
the
this,
tears
Lindsay.
from the night before they
So,
resumed.
You start to feel a little
And I
optimistic
felt
again.
like
You
an
hit stage
absolute
6.
jerkhead.
There's
you know,
light
and
at the
we
end of the
just
tunnel.
muffled our way through.
You get a few
the
more
rest of the morning.
pieces to click
got
into
through it.
place or
I
just
got them to
slide into
school.
place, as was the
All
case
good.
here because we were working with
But the story
paper.
does not end there.
And
after I
it
dropped
doesn't
them
happen
off,
all at
I
once,
stopped
but
at the
enough.
pharmacy,
You
and I
know,
was in
you
the
get
area, so I
one,
thought,
you have a little lag, and then you get another one, and so you're puzzling away
McDonald's, as we like to call
enough
it,
to see
and
progress
get myself,
and
I
feel
deserve a treat,
that
I thought.
momentum.
Get myself an
and
iced coffee.
Actually
And I'm
believe
gonna
that you're
repeat that
gonna
because
finish
I
the thing,
ordered,
which
as
feels
I
good,
always
right?
do,
Because then you're in it,
a
and you don't
medium
want to give up.
iced
She had
coffee
abandoned me at this point
with
because I
no
was
sugar.
taking too
And
long.
this is a very
She went
important
to play
detail.
outside,
I want you to know this,
and
that if you
so I
ever
sat
order
at the
an
kitchen
iced
table
coffee from
alone
McDonald's,
on
it
a beautiful
automatically
sunshiny
comes
day
with
because I refused
liquid
to give up until
sugar.
I finished this
Yes,
puzzle.
I said liquid sugar.
So then I hit
not
stage
sugar
7. I'm at the
packets,
final
okay, not
stretch,
like a fancy
okay?
creamer,
and it's
with
just
sugar
steady
in it.
because I'm getting less and less
Liquid
pieces
sugar.
that I got to work with.
It literally
and
says it on the
I'm
menu.
not trying to
when you
do
order
any
it.
shortcuts.
So
I'm
I've
not forcing
learned
anything.
the system
I'm just
that
grabbing
you order,
one,
you know, you say, "Hey, I'll
doing a
have
little
the cream,
scan,
no sugar."
and placing it where
Except
it fits. Right?
that
And so
that
then
day,
you, at this
when
point,
I
you
pulled
kind of
up
sit
to
back,
the window,
you look at it,
they handed me a plastic
there it
cup
is.
full of
it wasn't
just
easy,
black
but
coffee.
you did it.
No cream.
The puzzle
First world
is
problems, right?
complete.
And I
you
stared
feel
at it
like a
I had
genius.
forgotten
And,
how beverages work.
then
And like a
there
total
was
idiot,
this
I looked
part
back at the
that
lady
hit me
and
later
I said, "Does this have cream
that I
in
didn't
it?"
quite expect.
And she very
But I
politely
started remembering
said, "Oh,
the last
no,
time
it said no cream."
that I had actually
and
done
I
a
was
puzzle.
very confused. I
And
still didn't
It
have my wits
was
all
a
about me
few
from the
nights
morning, and I was genuinely
before
confused
my father-in-law passed.
I had
And
definitely
my husband,
ordered no
my
sugar,
sister-in-law,
not no
and
cream.
her partner were
And
all
so she
kinda
took it
gathered
back
up in
and
his room,
very kindly
and
added
it was a
cream
tight
to it
space, so
and
we kept
handed it back
going
to me
in
again.
and out to the hallway, etc.
I still,
And there
very confused,
really wasn't anything that
looked
we
at her and I said,
could
"Well,
fix.
but there's no
This wasn't
ice
a
in it
puzzle we
either."
could solve
Because
anymore
remember,
at this.
it was
at this
an
point.
iced
We
coffee.
were just had a lot of time to sit.
She hands me
and
a
wait.
cup of ice,
and
which
so
I was
we
grateful
did
for. And
a literal
I
puzzle.
scooted
I went
forward
down to
in line so as
the
not to block the window,
gathering
and I
room
assembled
where the
my
residents
own
there
beverage
would eat
in
their
the
meals and things, and they
old
had some
McDonald's
puzzles,
parking
and I
lot.
grabbed one that was
It
this
felt
beautiful
like I was doing my own little science experiment.
Ocean
and did I spill on
scene,
myself when I took the lid off?
it was
Absolutely.
really
Yes.
hard.
Yes, I did.
Like really
But
a hard
at the end
puzzle,
of it
and it
all,
was huge.
here I
But we thought, well,
my
we
iced
got the
coffee
time,
with
so,
cream.
Yes. Not only was
So,
the puzzle
and really, you know, I had a
hard
whole bunch
itself,
of extra
but
ice,
just
and I snacked on those
everything
little ice chips on the
surrounding
way
it,
home.
right?
And it
Our
was
brains
delightful.
were foggy.
So at this point, you're like,
we
what's
were
the
really,
point?
really
Get to it,
tired.
Lindsay.
No one had slept
The
in
point,
an actual
my friends,
bed. We were,
is that some
folding up
mornings
blankets and using them as pillows, and
like
and
a
sleeping on the floor, quite literally.
choreographed routine.
And
you nailed it.
piece by piece, though.
Other mornings,
we got this puzzle together, and we kept taking turns. A couple of us would sit out there, and then we'd go back in and be by his side.
And you throw
and so together,
your
gradually, we did finish
during
it,
a bathroom investigation. And
but looking
you
back,
assemble your own
in that particular instance,
like,
I don't
that
really
is
think
the more common
it was about
and
finishing
yet,
the puzzle.
I
think
still
it was
had
about
my kids
having
give me a
something
hug goodbye. I
to
still
do,
got kisses at the car door,
and something
still
to
made it
hold
home
onto,
with coffee in hand.
something we felt
Thank
we could
the Lord.
Control a
Was
bit.
it perfect? No.
While everything
but it was
else
functional.
felt
We accomplished
really
what we set out to
uncertain.
accomplish. And sometimes that is the real lesson. Life is not about perfect mornings. It's about recovering from those messy ones and cleaning up the coffee tray. Apologizing when you lose your patience.
And purpose.
Adding a little cream to your own coffee, right? And you just keep moving, because the truth is
that
most of us are just out here brewing our coffee
time to
and
pass through.
Sometimes forgetting the cup.
It definitely gave us
so let's give each other a little bit of grace
when we felt like we did not have all the answers, and it felt like a true group collaborative project. Everyone contributed. Everybody snapped in several of the key pieces. And it really felt necessary. That puzzle, it felt like it was part of the process. Like it was meant to be there, and we were meant to work through it together. And so here's my main takeaway from this experience, my preschool puzzle, and then my reflection. Not every puzzle comes with a picture. Some look like the one that my daughter made, where the picture was only in her head and it was uneven and the pieces were really inconsistent. But yet, she had made it with intention, and she knew what it could look like, what potential it had, even when I didn't. So I think if you happen to be in a stage where it feels like nothing is clicking, no matter what you do, or you're questioning if you even have all the damn pieces, or you're tempted maybe to force something into a spot that doesn't actually fit there. We've all tried it, right? But here's the thing, friends. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. You're just in the middle. So I say, keep puzzling.